Welcome to this free DaVinci Resolve 17 Beginners course. During this fully comprehensive 2.5-hour tutorial, you'll be learning all the basics and tools of DaVinci Resolve. If you would like to know everything and use this program like a pro, head over to skillademia.com and get access to the full course. Now, let's begin.
Hello and welcome to the DaVinci Resolve 17 course. My name is Albert and I'm gonna be your teacher. So nice to meet you all. And first what we need obviously is to download the software. So you just go to blackmagicdesign.com/product/DaVinci Resolve. And if not, you just can search in Google DaVinci Resolve and it's gonna appear you. So we are here in the homepage of Blackmagic Design of DaVinci Resolve. Blackmagic Design is the company that created this software. As you can see, they work in professional films, in video clips, advertisement. So it's a professional software. I would like to explain before we start unloading a bit what you can do with this software and the difference of these two versions that we're gonna see here, DaVinci Resolve 17 and DaVinci Resolve Studio 17. What can you do with DaVinci Resolve? Well, you can do pretty much everything. You can combine editing with color correction, visual effects, motion graphic, and audio post-production. And also you can deliver, obviously, your material, customize your size of delivering everything, the frame rate, and also you can obviously just organize your files, the way you want, with folders, just to make your editing easier and faster. The next thing that we're gonna see is this. There is DaVinci Resolve 17 and there is DaVinci Resolve Studio 17. This one is the free version. And this one you have to pay $300. You just pay once and you have some extra features, some extra things. What is the difference? This version, what is in this version that is not in this? Nothing. Everything of this version is in here, okay? But not everything of this version is in here, okay? What is not included is the library effects, for example, and especially the most sophisticated ones, such as camera blur, lens flare, film grain, and a couple others. A lot of these effects, they're not in this. Okay, also, I suppose this one has better audio plugins, for example, yeah. So, yeah. But, however, the basic is the same. I mean, we're talking about the same software, okay? If you know how to use this, you're gonna know how to use this, obviously. So we're gonna just start from this, and then we're gonna see all these extra things that this one has and that this one doesn't. And these ones are just the previous versions. So another thing I would like to talk before we just go and download. I would like to talk about a bit the structure we're gonna follow, and which is very easy and handy for me because it's just here in the website of DaVinci. Okay, and these are all the phases you're gonna go through and are all the lines we're gonna be following is the line we're gonna follow. So first we're gonna start with media. We're gonna start importing our media. We're gonna start locating our media. Now where is it? Video, image, and pictures, and then we're gonna just select the images that we want to work on. And then we're gonna move to cut and edit, which obviously, just by the meaning, we can just think about video editing. This is where it's gonna happen. Here is where we're gonna edit our video. Okay, we're gonna cut it, we're gonna put our clips together and see how it looks. Then we're gonna move to Fusion, which Fusion means effects, really. What you do in Fusion is create some effects. What we are gonna deal here is with what we call composites. Composites are formed by layers, different layers, just put on top of each other. So it's adding things on top of another thing. For example, I have a click and I want to add a blur effect. So I'm going to add this blur effect on top of my clip. And then if I want to add a title sequence, I will add this title sequence on top of my blur and on top of the clip. So this is gonna be Fusion, okay? Then we move to color. Color is great, really. This is one of the best color grading interfaces and pages you can find. So we are gonna deal with highlights, tones, shadows, saturation, contrast, all these elements here, okay? And obviously first we're gonna focus in trying to make our image as good as possible, like with the enough information that we need before we jump into some more artistic styles, or creating these looks and all of these things. First we need to just adjust our image in terms of correction, in terms of correcting our image so it has all the information that we need. Then we're gonna move to Firelight, which is sound and everything that has to do with post-production of sound mixing. However, I'm gonna show you how to record your sound too. You can just add audio device, an external audio device, and you just can record with your microphone too from the software itself. Okay, we're also gonna see, apart from mixing our audio tracks, we're gonna see some compression, some equalizations, also some effects, things that you can do so that the audio sounds much more professional and clean. And last but not least, deliver, which is very easy to understand. Export, that's where is it. We've been through all these phases and now it's time to export our work, our material. And obviously it's gonna be different if we are gonna export it in Instagram rather than in YouTube, okay? It's gonna be another type of exporting, so we can control this in here. So this is the brief introduction. Why am I explaining this? Obviously because that's the structure we're gonna follow, but also because you're gonna see this in the interface of the software, okay, after we download it. Before we download it though, it's very important that we know our minimum requirements, okay? In case of Mac, are these ones here. In case you use Windows, these ones, and Linux, these ones. Make sure you have everything here, okay? Especially these three and these ones too. Okay, so I'm gonna just leave it a bit so you can all see and make sure that you can install your DaVinci. So let's go to download now, and I'm gonna choose this, and you have just to fill your details and register and download. Now with downloading, we have 2 minutes that I would like to just briefly explain you how this program storage your files, okay? You will see that when we go through the installation, at the end, he's gonna ask us where we want to locate our projects in our computer. This is very important that we choose a place that we remember. Having said that though, each project also generates 3 folders that we will see later on when we go to project settings. I'm gonna be more specific and we're gonna see all these 3 different folders. This software needs to generate these files in order to work, in order to do our modifications of the images, of the clips we're working on in terms of effects. Okay, so it generates these files that need to be stored somewhere. Another thing very important, doesn't have that much to do with the software itself, has to do with the way of working. You need to be very organized. Organization is essential. So be very clean, be very organized with your files. Also, this software gives you tools to do that, such as color. For example, you can classify your clips in colors, different colors that for you mean, for example, red, that needs to be changed, that clip, substitute by other. So all these things make your life easier, basically. And, as I mentioned, is great. I mean, the software is made like this for you to be organized. Then another thing, you can create a lot of custom presets. You can, for example, if you work in Instagram, if you want to export everything for Instagram Reels, you can create a preset of your project settings, and you can also create a preset of the exporting. Actually, it's very cool that even if there's a way to connect your Twitter account and your Instagram, so it just also posts or uploads the image to your account or the video, whichever you're doing. Okay, let's start with the first. Obviously, we have to open it, zip document, the zip. So I'm gonna just open DaVinci that I just downloaded, and now we're gonna have to complete the installation. This it just tell us details about this version, and on the right you can see you can change the language. On top, on the right, we just gonna press continue. Now is the quick setup. Let's do the quick setup. It's telling me about my graphics and my operating system, and here is the first thing we need to choose, which is the type of project that I would like to start. Is the project settings. We can choose Ultra HD, which is 4K, HD, which is Full HD, 1080, 1920 would be per 1080, and obviously Ultra HD we're gonna see a bit later. I think we're gonna go first for HD, which is the most common. And here, this is very important, is where my project media is gonna be located. Is where all of these folders that this software generates in order to function, this where is gonna be storage everything, our projects too. This is very cool. It's like if you use other softwares, the controls are different. So you can choose, like, I'm a Final Cut user or a Premiere user, but obviously this is the DaVinci course, so we're gonna go for the keyboard layout of DaVinci Resolve, okay, for the commands to make your life faster. Welcome to the DaVinci interface. Here we are at the DaVinci course, and firstly I would like to make a brief explanation about the interface of this software to make sure that you understand how it works. So first thing, as we can see here, we have this black bar, and here is the name of our project at the center. Before anything, what is a project? A project is where all your images, all your color corrections, all your editings, all your transitions, all your audio mixes, everything is gonna be storage. It's gonna be safe. In our case, it's untitled project, because remember, you don't have any project yet. So when you open your DaVinci, instead of seeing the project window, it's gonna be directly this, the software interface with this untitled project that the software has generated in order to work, because otherwise it cannot work without any project. Then we have at the bottom, we have this other bar that, as you can see, we can see all these icons that we've mentioned in the website: media, cut, edit, fusion, color, farlight, and deliver. About the projects, also you might ask yourself if you can work at the same time in different projects, and the answer is yes. You can work at at the same time with different projects. Here is gonna appear an arrow, you just click it, and a box is gonna drop down with the name of all your different projects, so you switch from one to other. But here will always be the title of the project you're working on. So now I'm gonna do again a brief explanation about each of these different pages, which is the basics of this program. First, media page. Media page is where we are gonna select the files that we wanna work on. Okay, so first we're gonna locate our files, and this is where this word enters, media storage. Media storage is gonna be the locations of our computer. We're gonna look at our files, we're gonna listen to our files, and we're gonna drop them here, down, in our media pool. So those files are gonna be the ones we can actually edit, we can actually work on. The ones that are in this media pool, the ones we've selected, not these ones. This is just a way of locating your files. Then you select your files. We're gonna go to the edit page. We're gonna jump the cut page, and I'm gonna explain you why. The cut and the edit page are like familiars, you know, are like family. Okay, they're really, you can do really the same things. Where it changes is the interface in a way, and the edit interface is more comfortable to work if you wanna go into detail in terms of editing. If you wanna be more detailistic, if you wanna go more into detail, it's much friendly than the cut, which the cut is a more generalized way of looking at your editing in a more wider view would be, whereas the editing would be more zoom, you know. Okay, so we're gonna, don't worry, when we go through these pages, we're gonna see this difference. Then we got the fusion page, which is gonna be effects. Okay, we're gonna apply some effects to our image. We're gonna modify our image by adding stuff. So here we're gonna see, as you can see, these are the effects you can do, most of them. Here, as you can see, it says blur. Another thing you need to, is important that you not understand, but that you know, is that this program, every time I hover and I wait a bit, it tells me the function or the name of this icon. So as you can see, we're gonna see all these things. Okay, these are masks. So for example, if I wanna blur something, I would just add it on top of the image, and I'm gonna say that I just want a part to be blurred. So I'm gonna use a mask. I'm gonna say, just apply this effect in this section of this frame. Don't worry, we're gonna see that. Another thing is nodes, the concept nodes. This program works in nodes. You know, you can add a node and you add an effect on each node. So one node can be of blur. You can also make group of nodes, and you can also create nodes that are merge, which is, we're gonna see what is this concept too. We're gonna see later, just is introduction this. Now I wanna talk about one element that you need to understand, and that is very important that you understand, which is a timeline. What is a timeline? Now, each project has a timeline, and a timeline is your working table, is where you're gonna cut your images, is where you're gonna put them together, is where you're gonna add your transitions. So this is gonna be our timeline. Our timeline is just a sequence of different image and audios, and clips too. So that's a timeline, a sequence of images edited together. Can a project have more than one timeline? Obviously. You can create as many timelines as you want, but you need to know why you are doing it. Okay, so it's very important that, for example, if I am doing Reels, Instagram Reels, probably I would have a timeline per each reel. But then I would make a folder, for example, of months. For example, I would say August, all the reels I did in August, and are gonna be there, the sequence, okay, these timelines of all the reels I'm gonna of August, of September, the same. So again, organizing, you know, you don't wanna see a long list of timeline. It's better to have it in folders. So you can create as many timelines as you like, and you can also organize them into folders. So where is this timeline that you're talking about? Very easy. If we go to the media page, obviously there's no timeline. We're gonna see the timeline here though. Later on we will see, but we won't see it like physically. We will see a thumbnail, a representation, okay, or just the name. And if we hover or we press here, we can reproduce it, but we cannot modify anything of our timeline in this page. The pages that we can modify things of our timeline are the cut page, and as we can see this big square here, this is our timeline. And it has numbers, which is the time code, hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Edit page is here. Fusion, it doesn't have, because we're gonna modify clips individually. We're gonna modify individual clips. Color, the timeline is gonna be here, and we're gonna see in still images every clip, but in the cut that we did. If in edit there's one clip that we cut it in different places, we're gonna see the cuts. We're not gonna see the only one clip. No, here we're gonna see still image of each clip that we have edited, so we can change the color, grading, and everything individually. This is important to understand. Okay, then also you can apply these effects obviously to other clips. If you have one clip that you already did the color grading and everything, and it's the same place, the same light as another clip that is later on, you can copy and paste these attributes to your next clip. So timeline in Farlight is gonna be here, and it's just gonna be audio. Okay, we're gonna see the audio tracks. And in Deliver, our timeline is here. So that's what you need to know. Another element you need to know is in the cut page. Okay, this red bar, this is gonna tell us at which part of our timeline we are, at which point we are, at which minute we are, okay, at which second. And it's gonna show up here. In case that we had here our image, in this viewer we will see our timeline. So that's it. These elements you need to understand, this bar and the timeline. I can show you now. It has to do with icons. So you also get familiar with some icons that you're gonna see through all these pages in different places. And the first one is this one over here. To the media page or to the cut page, you will see it at the same place. Above, at your left. Okay, and this icon, this sort of a square with a bar, only shows you or hides things. For example, in media, it's gonna show me that, or it's gonna hide it. Another icon we need to see is these two icons over here. The first one you see is here, and it says thumbnail view. Now obviously I don't have anything selected, so I cannot see anything. But if I show my media storage, if I use this icon, I go for example to this, there is just audio. I double click here, the folder. You can see that I see a representation, like a wave, I see the audio wave of all of this, okay? Also, obviously, you can see it in list view. If you don't want to see the thumbnail, it has the option, so you see the name of the files, and here you can see more details. So this you're gonna see also. You're gonna see in other pages these two icons. Remember, this one is just watch the thumbnail. With video would be the same, but instead of a wave, it's gonna be the frames of the video. Okay, and then the list one. Important is, yes, it's important because sometimes makes your life much comfortable, depending on which one you wanna use. This is up to you guys. I mean, I sometimes use this, I sometimes use the other. Normally when I'm selecting images, I use the thumbnail. But then when I'm working in editing, I like to use the list mode. So this is up to you. There's people that do it the other way. Another icon, this one here, these three dots, you can see in the media page is here next to this one that we just saw. And this is just options that this software gives you that you can just block, or you can deblock, you know, things that you want to be shown. You know, for example, here, if I don't want to see the waveforms, I would just press it and I don't see the waveforms anymore. Okay? If I just want to see them again, I just press it and we see it again. So these are little icons that you're gonna see that there are everywhere, but now we already understood this. You see here, for example, there's another. It's things that we already know, and obviously we have this icon, which is the same. Here we're gonna write the name of the files we wanna locate, and we can also, here, as we can see, it can be filtered, this search that we do. Now let's go again back to this bar on the bottom, and we see these two other icons, which is Project Manager, the house, and Project Settings. Now Project Manager is that window that in my case popped up because I already had installed this software, but in your case, if it's the first time, it won't pop up, okay? But here, if we click, this is the project window. From here, if we're working in a project and we want to change, we just press this and open another project, and we're going to change to that other project. And then we have this here, which is Project Settings. Now, if we open, we see a lot of stuff here. Okay, first thing you need to notice is this, okay, which is your timeline. Remember, we talk about timeline. The format you are working on your timeline. In case I have HD files that I selected to work on, I'm gonna work on HD resolution, okay? In that case, 1920 per 1080. Also, the frame rate, okay, we need to work at the same frame rate as we recorded, unless you're doing some slow motion or whatever, which we're gonna see. Also, other things here. If we go a bit down, we see these three working folders. As I mentioned before, these are the three folders that this software generates in order to function, in order to that this project works. Okay, it needs to save these files in these three folders. Here, if we click browse, we can change it of location. Okay, but it's good to have it, to not touch it a lot, because then is when happens the disconnections and it doesn't render properly because lost the connection. So be very careful with this. Another thing, optimize media and render cache. This is how are we work these files. For example, if I work with 4K and I see that my computer is slow, that means that I have to work with a proxy media resolution lower. Okay, so I work with half the scale of what my real shots, my real clips are. Okay, just to work comfortably. No, so it's not slow and it doesn't drag. You know, if you have a very good computer, obviously, then maybe you can do it in 4K and forget about this. You know, but things very generalized that you need to start assimilating. So this is the end of this introduction to the software, and we're gonna go to our media page. That's the page we're gonna be working on, okay, in the next video, so get ready. Now we're gonna explain a bit our projects. It's important to remember was that house here, project manager, okay? We just click the house and we see all of our projects. You need to know that every time you turn on this software, this is the window that is gonna pop up, unless you never had this software before, and as we mentioned before, you know, it's the first time you install it and you don't have any project. Okay, so first thing we see again is this, okay, this icon. And here we see this one, local database. which is the database of my computer. I can add another database too. Yes, I could add another database. I can also change database, Okay, we're gonna see this, how to do it later. But first I wanna, as always, go to an overall explanation about this interface. What can we see here in this part? Obviously our projects, okay, the name of each project, and also we can choose to see them in thumbnails or in list. Also we can filter and search anything we need to search, okay, and if we click the information we see our project details, okay, which is the project settings, okay, the size, the image size, which is 920 per 1080, okay, which is the full HD. Timelines, we don't see the name of the timelines, because remember that we just wrote names of our timelines here in these projects. We only see how many timelines there are. This project there's 2 timelines. Doesn't say the name of their timelines if we change it, but it tells us how many timelines there are in this project, and also the last date that we modified this project. Okay, very easy to understand this. And now sort order, obviously we can just, I can say to him, just show me the last one that I'm working on, the first one. I would always go for this, because yes, you always want to be working on your last project, obviously, with you. So it's fast and handy, you have it here. Okay, again, this, we saw this before too, and this again. Okay, now I'm gonna explain these databases and everything, and it's very important that you understand that, because these are ways that you work. Also, another thing before we jump into that is these folders. Okay, you can create folders. For example, here I have one folder, because this is this sort of project that is always volatile, that, for example, I always is a band. This is a project of a rock band, okay, so I like to have it here, so I can create other projects inside this folder, because it's gonna be all about this band. If I had a client, for example, would be the same. I would do the same. So easy to understand. Now, how do we go back? Very easy. We press just here. We see this here, the ubication, so we just press projects and we're back into projects. So that's it. That's this part of this interface, which is very straightforward. We can also create new projects here, so very easy to understand this part. Now let's go to the database. Okay, so let's talk about this scan database. Okay, databases. What can we do with this? Okay, what we can do, for example, here I only have, as you can see, one database, which is my local database. It's the database I have in my computer. Tells you a bit of more information, the location, okay, as always, this icon. But for example, maybe I have a database in my studio or in my office, okay, with another DaVinci, okay, dealing with another image, and other projects. And one day I would like to go and work with that database I have there in here. So what I would do is export the database and then connect here the new database. If you can see here, if we right click, we can reveal in Finder where this is being saved, and as we can see here, there's our project settings. So what I would do is copy that, put it in my hard drive, and here new database, locate it, and you create a new database here. Or you can also do this, which is just create the migration, but I would do this. Here we're gonna take a fast look at our preferences, which we go here in this bar above, DaVinci, and preferences. We see system preferences and user preferences. You don't need to know everything of this. I'm just gonna tell you the most important things you need to know. User preference language, which is the language of your interface. If we change it and we press save, it's gonna tell us that next time that we open the software, it's gonna apply the changes. So we're gonna have to close the software and open it again. Just gonna go for English, obviously. Then another thing we need to know, project save and load. This is where we are gonna save, for example, project backups. In my case, I have that this automatically makes a backup of the project that I'm working every 30 minutes and is being saved here. You can change all these as you like. Now we're gonna go directly to our system preferences and we're gonna check at here, media storage. As I mentioned, this program connects with your media, connects with your files that you then are gonna select and import it to your project. So here we can see these three different places. Okay, these are different locations I have. If I wanna just remove locations, because sometimes when you add a lot of locations, you have a long list of locations, you have too many. So you just wanna remove the ones you don't use anymore, the ones you are not interested in the media that are there. So you're just gonna click in here, press remove. Then another thing you need to know in the system preferences is this one, video and audio. In case you have another camera, in case you wanna record this image of this camera while you are seeing it, you will have here capture device. You will have another camera. Okay, you will appear your camera, GoPro, or whichever you is. And the monitor device too, in case you are connecting with a monitor. In my case, I'm not using anything now, but I am using, for example, here in the audio, I am using a interface, audio interface, which is connected to my computer and is connected to a condenser microphone. And now I have use system settings, which are the settings of my computer. If I wanted to put my external audio device, I'm just gonna select input device and output device. Another thing you need to see here is this, internet accounts. Here, this is a very good thing that this program allows you to do. That is, if you just, for example, sign in your YouTube account, in your Vimeo and your Twitter, when you export your projects, when you export your videos, your clips, you can directly export it and upload it directly from here to your YouTube channel, to your Vimeo profile or Vimeo channel, and your Twitter account too. So it's very handy. Okay, from here directly there. Okay, without having to, go and look at your file, upload the video in its social media page. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Now we're gonna see also the project setting, which is the settings of our project. And now we're gonna have a fast look at our project settings. So first, these are presets. For example, these are the current project preset I'm working, and I can save as, have already saved this before as full HD 25 frames. If this, for example, I wanna, save also this, I would just put save as, and I would write any name here, press OK, and it's gonna be here. Okay, this every time I start a new project, I like to have a look at this. I use another configurations. What I can do is first here in master settings, I change everything I need to change, okay? Then I go to presets and save as, and this is gonna be my new preset. So every time, if now I choose, current project, which is always the current project you're working on, is the same as this one. So if I choose this one, it's gonna work too. Then master settings. Here is where you go into more detail. First is the timeline resolution, which if you're working in HD, you are gonna have it in HD, okay? If you are working with 25 frames per second, you're gonna have it at 25 frames per second. Then we have the video monitoring, which is how I'm seeing all this, where I'm seeing all this timeline, when and how, in which quality I am singing, okay? So we have here 10 bits per second, we have the bits, we have also here the video format I'm reproducing, which is HD at 25 frames per second, okay? So everything correct. Okay, this matches with this, okay? Another thing, this is the optimized media and render cache. This program, every time reads its clips, every time you put these clips in your timeline, these audios, it's gonna do this render cache, it's gonna render, it's gonna read these images. So in this case, I have it, everything in ProRes. This is a codec, ProRes 422 HQ, which this codec is not very compressed. Normally, lots of images have already, lots of cameras record already with this H.265 or H.264, okay, which are very compressed codecs. And I want to work with a codec that is not that compressed, so the quality of the image is better, and it's important that the quality is a good quality, so we can see better these changes that we're doing, these color gradings, these transitions, so we can see everything clear. So in case that your computer have problems or a bit of lagging, you can change these and you just put lower ones. Especially if you're working with 4K, sometimes it's impossible. It's impossible, and you have to work with proxies. You have to work, or you have to do a render cache that is lower, or you have to work with proxies. With proxies are like, it's not the real image, it's just the half scale of what the real image is, and then when you export it, it's gonna be 4K. But it's just to make comfortable the editing process, otherwise it's too slow with drags, Other things we need to know here. Working folders, okay? This program generates these 3 folders called the working folders that are saved in your computer. Here we can see the locations. They're gonna be all of them in what, when we did the installation, he asked us to write, he asked us to just put a location in our computer, so they're gonna be saved there, everything. Okay, still locations, for example, these are still images, okay? You have an option in the color that you just create a still image. You just make a still image in order to compare frames, for example, okay? Cache files, all these things where are safe, and proxy media, okay, again, the proxies, this file generate proxies when you change effects or something, so generates all these files, okay? So this is where these files are gonna be stored. Another thing we can see here, subtitles, there's also Farlight, okay? This is gonna be about the sound, color management. This is all about your grading of your screen. Okay, we're gonna leave it as it is. Basically, what you need to know, the most important, is master settings and presets. This is the two. Here you can actually do everything. So that's gonna be this project settings. It's very briefly, but we're not gonna get into much detail here because it's not really important. We have a lot to see. this also is very technical. So if we explain a lot, we're gonna talk about codecs, about a lot of things then that maybe are gonna confuse you more. So make sure that this is all right. If it's too slow, you can change this. You can change your render cache. Also, you can change your timeline format if there's no option, okay? And you can work with proxies too, okay? But this already generates proxies, so this is cool, So, this is the most important. Timeline resolution and frame rate, okay? So that's it. Also here, capture and playback. This is when you are capturing camera. So this is also, you can get into detail about which sort of codec you want to use, okay, video format, etc., and where you want to save these captures. So that's everything you need to know. Create your presets. If you're working with HD, you just create your HD 25 frames per second. Okay, if you're working with 4K, more frames, you just create your own presets and you just use them depending on the project you're working on. So welcome to the media page. Before we start selecting our clips and organizing our clips too, I would like to make a brief explanation about this interface. There's two elements you need to know just straight away, which is our media storage and our media pool. As you can see here, there's no clips in the media pool. Therefore, this project doesn't have any clips selected there, doesn't have anything that we can work yet. Media storage. As you can see here, there's different locations of my computer. There is this one, Macintosh HD, is where I have everything. This is all my computer, but there's also these other locations. In order to add a location, because you might have a folder with all these clips, all these images you want to work, all these audios, and you don't want to go through having to look to all of your documents. You just want a direct sort of access. So very simple, media storage here, we are here. You right click and you can add a new location. So for example, I'm gonna add this location here. Open, already exist because I already have this one, which are all these rehearsals. Also tells me the usage, okay? If it drops this message that just dropped me, the message that the software tells me, is only informing you that you already have this location, or you already have this folder inside this location. So for example, I'm gonna add one that I know for a certain fact that I don't have it anywhere. That it must be this one, for example. This one, and I wanna add this. So I open, and as you can see, this new location appears here in my media storage. So I can go direct to, what I want. These are images, for example. If you want to delete locations that it might be the time that you already have a lot of locations here and you want to get rid of some of them. Very easy. We go to this bar here. We go to this bar. We go to DaVinci Resolve. We go to Preferences. And we just remove locations. I'm going to remove this one, the one that I just add, just by clicking remove, save, and that's it. It has been removed. So pretty straightforward, knowing where your files are. Once you know where your files are, you can or either go directly here, is all your information on your computer, or you can just add a new location. So another concept is this media pool. And as I mentioned before, this is going to be where we're going to drag our files in order to work in that project, in order to edit them. So here we're going to select them. Okay, we're going to see them. We're going to see which one we like, and then we're going to drag them here. Another element of this software is this, as you can see, this black screen, which obviously is going to show us whichever is being selected. How do I know that something is selected? For example, if we go here, here there's a few videos. If I press this button, if I press the left button, I can see this red sort of overlay, okay, which is telling me that this clip has been selected. In case I want to select all of them, I just go to the first clip, I just go all the way down to the last one, and before I click the last one, I hold Shift, and I'm gonna select all the clips. If I just want to select individual clips, I would just press the first one I want to select, hold Command, or in PC it's gonna be Control, and just select the ones that I would like to work on. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Okay, we know a bit how to control this. Again, if you don't see any of these media storage, is because you have this, as we mentioned, this icon before, that is not showing. So just press it and it's gonna show it. Also, you can press this. Okay, you can just decide to, in case that you wanna see really good the image, you can just decide to hide for a moment the media storage, then you just put it on again. Other things we need to know about this interface is these things here, which are other options. Like for example, I would like to not only see the image, but also see a bit the audio. It's gonna also, as you can see here, when I hover this save cache into the, you can see I can also see the graphics of the audio, the levels of the audio. Metadata is gonna be about the details of the metadata, the details of the clip that I selected, okay? And frames, the number of frames, all these details, okay? TC, okay? So this is, I know, is 6 seconds and 3 frames. And another thing you can see here is the inspector, which the inspector, we're gonna see a lot of inspector and how do we use the inspector and why do we use the inspector in the editing. So first, I don't wanna go a lot into this inspector. The first thing that we need to do is to save our file, our project. As I mentioned before, when you went to preference also, next to the DaVinci Resolve, there's this file, and we're gonna save this project, and we're just gonna name it DaVinci course media editing part. So this is the media page, okay? We're doing the media, but then we're gonna jump into the editing part. So we just save it, and again, well, it's been saved, and obviously here, what I mentioned, when I introduce the interface, is gonna appear the name of the project we just saved, okay? So we're gonna start selecting our images. We're gonna start selecting our images, and the inspector, I'm gonna explain once these images are selected. So you have to wait a little bit, but we're gonna be doing folders now. We're gonna, select the files that we wanna work on. So I already have these files here in the DaVinci course, which is the 3 pics. So now we're gonna start importing the images that we wanna import to our media pool. So first thing we need to do is go here to our media storage. I have this folder here that I created. It's in Full HD, which is 3 pics, and this is the pics that I found in places in internet. I mean, it's free rights images, okay? We're just doing an exercise, it's just to learn for us, so these clips would do. First thing that we can see at first sight is there's this icon here. You see? It's like a note. That means these files have video, which is this, and sound. This has only video because we can see only this image, so therefore we know this image doesn't have sound, it only have video. Also this one, as we can see in this icon, okay, is about the icon when you hover. This one, yes, have audio. A lot of them even if they say that they have audio, because I know these images, they don't have audio. They might have an audio track, which is nothing, which is empty. But they do have this audio track. However, there's no graphics. You're not gonna see any waveform there. It means that there's no sound. Okay, some of them, though, I don't remember which one, but yes. And if we had sound, for example, and we just, hover to the, for example, I'm gonna just select this audio, we can listen. Okay, so if an image have audio and sound, and just by hovering, we listen the audio and we see the frames, and then we know that this image has an audio that is linked to this image. In that case, here, however it is this, as I explained before, it's like a fake audio track. Some image have audio track, but then there's nothing, it doesn't sound, which it means that this image have an audio track linked to this image. However, it's an audio track empty or not empty, but if they export it this way, it's gonna be this way. So we saw a bit the basic stuff. Now we're gonna start selecting the image that we wanna work, but before selecting, remember I told you about organization, so we're gonna keep a good organization. Therefore, we're gonna start creating bins here. We're gonna start creating our folders. As you can see, we have different sort of image, different types of images. I'm gonna make first one folder. So I go here in the master square and right click, new bin, and the first folder, I'm gonna name it city, which it will have to do with everything that is related to city. So we're gonna use our shift. We're gonna use our shift button. Okay, we're gonna make also this look more comfortable. As we can see, every time you see this icon between these lines, it means you can modify the spaces between its different elements of this interface. So first, city. Okay, now obviously we have the folder here. Remember, this the same, we can have it like this or in icons. So I'm gonna double click city, and now you see that master and city. I can also select it just using this part of the media pool. And also I can hide this part if I want and only use the arrows. So city, what are we gonna do? First open, we have the city selected, and as I mentioned before, we're gonna use our command or control in PC to select the first, then we hold command all the time, select this one too. The ones of the metro, I'm gonna do another folder inside city, which is gonna be referred to the metro. These ones, this one has a bus, but is outdoor, so I would just put it as city. City, 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 city. Ah, you see this one has sound. You see that we can, just by hovering, we can listen to the sound. This one, no. It has an audio track, but it doesn't have sound in it. More city, we need this one and this one. I think that would be it. Now we're just gonna drag everything here. And this thing pops up. Oh, change project frame rate. What does it mean? What the software is telling us at the moment is that these images have a different frame rate than the project we're working on. Remember when we went to this little house and we saw our project settings, and I tell you, make sure you work in the same frame rate and the same image size, the same format. So we're gonna just press change because I wanna work with the right frame rate of these images. So I wanna change my settings to adequate to these images. So I'm just gonna press change. Is there any case that I'm gonna press don't change? Yes. For example, if I'm editing Instagram reel or Instagram video and I have my image size settings in a way that is just for Instagram and it's not a full HD, then I'm gonna say don't change, and I'm gonna transform my image by using the inspector, which we're gonna see later on. So in that case, I'm gonna go for change. Yeah, I'm gonna say change my setting sequence, put the right frame rate, and that's it. We have our first image. These are our first selection of images. Now, as I mentioned before, we have also these images of, metros and all these things. So it's inside the city too. So we're gonna right click here. We can right click here or here, always to create new bins. And we're gonna just create a new bin. And we're gonna name it public transport. So now what we have to do is select the image that has to do with public transport. So obviously, if now I drag, for example, this image, we can see that this image is not inside the folder of public transport, but once it's here and we select it, we can drag it and put it inside. But to make it faster, obviously, we're gonna go directly here. We know we have that one, so we're gonna select the others with Command or Control. And for example, another public transport is this one. This one looks like too. This one, of course, and I think that this one too, and I think there's a metro here too. So these are all public transport. Okay, we drag them here, and here we go. So far we got city, and city here now has an arrow because we created another folder inside the city. Next folder, go in the master again, select our master, and create a new bin. And this bin, we're gonna name it animals, which is all the image that has to do with animals. As we can see, this one doesn't have an arrow because it doesn't have another folder inside or bin. So animals, let's see which animals we got. We got this, I think it's a cat eye, or maybe it's a fox eye. Yeah, probably it's a fox eye. We select these ones, we select also this one. Oh no, these are eyes, sorry. And another animal, yeah, the spider, and we got a snake too. Ooh. Okay, so we just do the same as we've been doing before. Just drag them. And so far we got 2 folders and 1 folder inside another, public transport. Next one, I'm gonna create another folder. Be careful, because if now I create this new bin, it's gonna create me one inside the animals, which we don't want. To delete folders, of course, is very easy, just to press the delete button of your keyboard, and that's it. So we wanna, again, select master, because we wanna make a new bin inside the master, which is gonna be eyes. Eyes. Everything related with eyes. We see obviously this one. Okay, make sure that we are in the right folder. We drag it. This one, we put it in animals. Can we put it in eyes too? Absolutely. So we're just gonna put it too in eyes. We'll have one in animals because it's an animal, but also in eyes. This one too, we're gonna put it here. And that would be it. In city, I think I forgot this one. Oh no. No, I didn't. Great. Sometimes you forgot things, you just need to review it a bit. But I think I have it all. Yeah, good. So after eyes, now we're gonna just put some images that are gonna be more for effects. Things we can play in order to generate some sort of cool effects, etc. So again, new bin, effects. And now, yes, I'm gonna drag all the image that I know I can do something, creating some sort of effects, which is gonna be this one, the stars, this camera movement, another star, this one maybe, no, this one I'm gonna put it in others. We're gonna create another one named others. This one, yeah, this one, no, I'm gonna put it in others too. This one too, because we can do things, overlaying images, you know, with this. Look cool. This one too can be overlaid, okay? So we just drag it to effects, and here we have our effects folder too. In city, I want to make sure I didn't forget anything, because I think I did forget something. Maybe not. Well, it's fine. Another one, yes, we said others. Remember, always go back to master, otherwise it's gonna create the bin inside another bin. So in case you wanted to create a bin inside another bin, but if not, go back to master. And now we're gonna write others, which are gonna be this other image that we have, and we don't know really what to do with them, but we'll find things, don't worry. So we're gonna select this one, also this one, the one of the microphone, and I think that's gonna be it. Yes. So again, we select others and we drag it to media pool. So as you can see, you saw this, you know, locating your files, knowing where your files are. We select them and we can already organize them in this page, in this media page, just by using bins and folders. And we can create folders inside another, we can delete them, we can do all these things. Also, it's telling us if these videos have a sound, okay? And if it actually sounds, that we know for a fact that it's not an empty audio track. It is an audio track with sound.
Hi there! Congrats on getting this far. I hope you're enjoying the tutorial and starting to see some great results. If you want to check out the extended version of the course, go to skillademia.com, where you will find our full DaVinci Resolve 17 Beginner to Advanced course with more than 100 lectures and many more projects to complete. Now, let's continue.
Let's go into the inspector. So, because it's a way to introduce a bit one tool that we're gonna be seeing a lot in this page, in the edit page, which is this inspector tool. Again, if you don't see the inspector tool, it's because it's disconnected. You just have to press inspector and it's gonna show you. Another thing that we can also decide to show or not is the audio levels. I like to have them on, even if I'm looking here in the media page. So that means that, for example, you can see this one that has audio. Now we can see the audio levels just by hovering and on. So here you go. Okay, so let's go to the inspector though. That is here, down here. Okay, if we have the audio, it's gonna be here. Another thing, the metadata, it tells you the characteristics a bit, the metadata actually of the clips, you know, with a bit of the characteristics, audio channels. In this case, this one has 2 audio channels, if it's progressive or interlaced, the frames, the number of frames that has, the TC, the start TC 00, and the NTC. That means this clip has 29 seconds. Everything that is happening here, everything that is happening in the inspector, it has to do with transforming your image, changing your image. In terms of zooming in terms of cropping it, you know, for example, if I crop right, you will see that it's cropping right. Crop top, the same, okay, button, the same. Also this zoom, in case that I just want to show the box, then I would probably zoom this a little bit and change the eye to a bit. And here I can move it a bit. Being careful with this not to show this. So this, we're gonna see these elements further on. But it's just for you guys to see that you can actually start doing these things in media, which is probably better if you start doing it in edit. But so you can see this tool, which is named the inspector. What does it do? Also, it has this option that is pretty cool. There is dynamic zoom, that by itself, it creates this sort of zoom, you know, just automatically. This, I'm gonna put it normal. Okay, it can be linear, ease in. So a lot of things to see here. Obviously the speed change, you know that we're gonna see everything in edit though. I insist, because this is just for you guys to see where is this inspector. And this is just things that are gonna transform your image, and that you can actually start doing them here. So now that we explained the inspector, we know about this audio too, okay, that we have the option to see our audio levels in this media pool. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this image. Let's talk about this viewer, what it represents, and how the controls that it has. First control we can see here is obviously here there's the duration of the clip, and if we press space, we just press play, or if we press space again, we press pause. Also, you can move with your arrows. Right arrow, you move forward frame by frame. Left arrow, you move backwards frame by frame. With this, you can just go to the first frame, which in the arrows of our keyboard is the up arrow. So we go to the first frame of the clip. If we want to go here, for example, to the last frame, we just press the down arrow of our keyboard and we are in our last frame. This is, for example, if we just want to see video or audio track, and also we can, if this clip has some notes, it's going to tell us here annotations, okay? Another thing we can do, obviously mute it. You unmute it by using this. You can select your marking and mark out points. What I mean is that, for example, I'm not very interested in the part that he just does this with the scissors. I want just to skip that and just go straight here. So I'm gonna use the keyboard, go when he opens the box, which is gonna be here, and I'm gonna do a marking point, which you can do by pressing this icon here, which says marking, or by the I button of your keyboard, I, and the mark out now. Obviously, he just put it automatically at the end of the clip, you know, because this part of here we're not gonna see, and this part, yes. And as you can see here, in this image that we selected in our media pool, we have this line, this bar, this white bar, okay, that is separate, is telling us that this is the in point of this image. It's the I mark, the in mark. So we're gonna go, and obviously if we don't say to him that we want also a mark out, he's gonna automatically put the mark out at the end of the clip when the clip finish. So he assume you want from this part to the end. No, we also want an out. We wanna put it here, that he is already opening a bit. Yes. So we just press O, and as you can see, this changes a bit. And this is just to control this tool here, just to control where we are in the clip by holding our left click, and obviously it's a bit more smoothly than if we do it just like this, you know, it's a bit more comfortable. So just these very basic things, really. I mean, nothing that if you take your time and you just look at it, you're gonna find out quite a lot of this stuff. So now also we have the out point, so it's appearing here. As you can see here, almost at the end, there's also this white bar, vertical white bar. So that means that this clip, we're only, when we drag it to our timeline, remember about the concept of timeline, we're only gonna actually put that part of this clip. If we here go to inspector, and we also take off this dynamic zoom, okay, we can do two things with the inspector. This is also a thing that is important. The dynamic zoom, for example, or the transform, if I touch now a lot of things, like here and like here, okay, and I say, I don't like it, I have two options. So I decide to not show it. In that case, I would press this. Or if I decide to show it, obviously it's gonna be with the settings I did. Let's say that I just wanna restart this. So I go here on the right, and this circle means restart. Okay? If I just wanna restart these changes I did in position, not in zoom, but in the position of my clip, I just press this, and this goes back. If I just wanna do the zoom, the same. But in case I wanna just do them all, just restart everything, I'm gonna press this one always. The one that is next to the name. Dynamic zoom, the same. I don't want anything. So this is things that you can actually start doing here. Like for example, if you're using letterbox, which is like a black marsh, and you know that you're not gonna actually you need some kind of re-escalation, so of rezoom the image, of transformation. So you can already do it here. You can already do it in here, which is pretty cool, because you don't have to wait until you get to edit. You can do things that you know that you're gonna do it in all the shots. You can do it from here. Obviously remember this, and also this one I didn't show you, but this one is just more information. You can decide to see it in list view, as we saw before, in thumbnail view, or you can do it in metadata view, which tell us more information about our clips. In this case, it tells us the duration of the clip, it tells us the name of this clip, the day that has been created this clip, and also we have this, which is how the layouts that we want to use. In case that I want to see it in another way, I would do 2 columns, and I can see here 2 columns of my master and the clips. Also we can do it like this, one above the other. It's just how you want to see the things. I would go for this one. I think is the most simple one. This also is useful when you are working in more than one project. Okay, so you can see, you can divide them. Then also you have this one. Obviously you can look here on files and filter them, and also this one, that is how do I want you to show me which are the first ones that you're gonna show me of images. So date modified, we can also choose, by bin, whichever. Okay, time code. Okay, the one that has more. Okay, so different ways of just organizing, more than organizing, just how you want to watch your media files. There's another thing, the capture, which is in case you have a camera, so you can capture your image or camera directly, the clips from your camera, you can capture it to DaVinci directly. So last things we need to know about our media page is, for example, this window. I just say that this window is this viewer. It's just the viewer of the things of our media storage, the things we locate, but also the viewer of the things we just selected of our media pool. But I'm also gonna go into more details in this viewer. For example, in this thing we see here, and this we're gonna see also in the edit page, which is that we can change the zoom of this image. We can make it 200, 300. I usually just say fit, and then, so you can see, it fits to this window. Okay, obviously if the dimension of your file is not very big, then it's gonna stop fitting at a certain point, like here we see. These are also important elements that you need to know. Also another one is this one, which means to play this in loop. Things you can do when it finish. This line is gonna start again the clip. For example, just here, put it at the time, and adjust it to, and now it's gonna restart again this clip. So this is another element you need to know of this viewer. And then another thing that I think is very useful for organizing, I use it a lot, is that, for example, now I'm sort of looking at these clips that I just done of the course, and some of them I think they are not really complete. There can be better. How do I know these clips have been? How do I mark this? Very easy. You just go, for example, this clip. You just press right click and you just go clip color, and you can just select any color that you like. If it's a good take, if I'm satisfied with it and I think should be included in my timeline, I'm gonna go for green. And as you can see here appears a little color. Also this one is orange, this one is yellow. And this is a good way to just organize your files. Before editing even. You can do it here in this media pool. So once you already start editing, you know that, okay, the green ones are the good takes, the orange one might be alternative takes, and the yellow are just regular. And the ones that you are not gonna use, you just don't bother importing it in the project, really. And in case you just need them for anything, you can always go back to media pool, drag it down to your media pool, and just start working with them. So this is more or less everything you need to know about this page. And another thing also that I didn't mention before, and that is important, is that in case you don't have anything here, you don't want to go through that, and you just want to import things, you just play Command I, and you see what happened. It's gonna open my files, my computer, and I just want to import actually one video that is not located here. So I can also do that very easily by just looking at the video I want. I open and appear here. This is another way of doing it. I prefer to do this to first locate everything and choose here and drag it down, but you can also do it directly here. Okay, right click, import media. This is another thing you can do. You can also import subtitles, you can also import bins, you can do all these things. So yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about this media page. It's pretty straightforward. Remember, first you locate your files, then you can start organizing by creating, okay, here I have different bins because it's a different project, but by creating different bins, then also even if you want to go more into organization, you can also just put colors, just add colors to each clip. You can also do your marking, your mark out points, okay, directly here. And you can also see a bit of the audio. You can also capture your camera. All these things we're gonna be doing in here. So now obviously we're gonna jump already to, as I mentioned before, the edit page, not the cut page. First we're gonna go through this edit page. So stay tuned because this is gonna be the next video. We're gonna start editing these files that we just selected. So now that we already know a bit about the media page, we're gonna go to our edit page, okay? And as you can see first here, you might see it like this, but if not, you just remember this icon is in every pages and it's the same function. And as you can see here, we have all our folders that we just created with the images that we want to work. As you can see, this one, we did the mark in and the mark out. Now, if I drag it here down to my timeline, this is the timeline, he's gonna respect me that. Okay, you are gonna see after that he is only gonna show me this part of this video. But before we jump into editing and all that, I'm gonna explain you again the interface of this page, okay, which is very simple. On our left, we have our master. We have the image we selected. We have our folders, and everything. Here, as we can see, we have like two screens. Okay, we have two viewers. One viewer, as you can see here, tell us the name of this image, that is production ID, okay, 44, okay. That means it's gonna reproduce our media pool, the images of our media pool. Always, this viewer will always reproduce. If we double click, it's gonna reproduce these images. If we double click and here we press space, it's reproducing that. This one now is reproducing nothing because we need to drag our images in our timeline. So we're gonna start dragging our images. The first and most simple way to drag an image through our timeline is just by doing the same thing as we done with the media. For example, we're gonna start with the city images. We want this one, for example. I'm just gonna drag it, and as you can see, we have here already the image of this clip that we just drag it to our timeline. That means that this viewer is gonna be the viewer of our timeline. So look, here I press space. However, this is the image that is being reproduced. It's not this one. And I wanted this to be reproduced. That's because I haven't selected my timeline. If I go and right click here and I just select the timeline, then this one is gonna be the one who's gonna reproduce. Make sure sometimes, because you might be doing things here and then you just press a space and you realize, oh, why is not reproducing this? It's because you don't have it selected, your timeline. So just make sure it's selected. Now this timeline, what's the name of this timeline? What is it? Very easy. We created in city, which I don't really like it in city. I prefer to be in the master. So I just drag it and now is in our master. If we go to our master, is here. Also, obviously, what we can do, and I think is the best idea, is to create a new bin named timelines or sequence or whatever you want to call it. And I'm gonna drag this timeline here. So every time we have a timeline, a new timeline, we can add it here in this folder. To change names and things, very easy. First, make sure you selected the thing you want to change. For example, I want to change animals. I select animals and I just click again. And you will see it offers me this option to change. The media is the same. I want to change the name of my timeline because I don't want to have timeline 1. Very easy. The same. We make sure it's selected, our timeline. And as you can see, the timeline, when it's hovered, it differentiates. The difference between clips and timelines is this thing over here, okay, this correct symbol. So we have selected our timeline and now we're gonna just left click on the text and we can write city. This is gonna be our city timeline, images of the city. We press enter and that's it. And as you can see, now here also appears city, which is the name of the timeline we are producing. So, to refresh a little bit, for you to remember, there's 4 elements you need to know here. At first sight, which is first the media pool. Remember, you can hide it too, just by clicking at it. There is these 2 viewers. One is the viewer of your clips of the media pool, and the other is the viewer of your timeline. And the other element, obviously, is the timeline, which is this, which is imported to our timeline, our first shot, our first clip. And now we're gonna see what is the difference between this. So, as you can see here, there's this line, this horizontal line, and that line separates audio from video. However, if you see now, these images, if I wanna move the audio or the video, they are stuck, they are together, they are just glued to each other. That means they're linked. This image is linked with this audio. And in case I don't wanna I don't want them to link, so I can be able to move stuff. I can do two things, and now we're gonna start seeing these things, which are the tools of editing, are the things that we're gonna use in order to edit. If you look at this symbol, means link selection, and this symbol appears here, which means that the audio, our green clip, is linked with this image because it has this symbol. If we just now press it again, this is not selected anymore. We just press at any place of the timeline, and we can see that we can change it, and it's saying to us the difference of the timecode. It's saying to us, hey, be careful, as we can see here in red, because you are desynchronizing this, you're moving this, so it's not gonna match, the sound. In that case, obviously, as I mentioned before, this image doesn't have any sound. I mean, have an audio track, but you can see no waveforms here. We're gonna select another, so you can see this thing clearer. So I think was in city, was that one. Yeah, that one has a sound, so we can see now the waveforms. And if we also, now, this is not selected, the link selection, which means that we can change, but as you can see, it's not gonna match. Okay, it's not. See, it's not in Syncro. So I'm gonna turn it a bit down. So it's not in Syncro. Okay, but sometimes you just wanna deslink clips. Okay, you just wanna deslink them. However, this is not really a way to unlink things, because I mean, after all, we're saying that we don't want to work under this sort of rule that these clips are linked, but they still have, you can see they still have this icon. So how can we unlink them without having to, say that we don't wanna work with this rule, that is that things that are linked are being respected. So we just select everything here, and as we can see here, link clips, we just undo this, and disappears the icon. However, we're still working until, if there's other images, for example this one, that are linked, okay, this one is gonna still be linked, and they're gonna keep this relationship, they're gonna be, glue to each other, okay, because they have this symbol. And because we have this selected, that means that respect me, the images that are linked. But we can also unlink it like this, okay? So that's the difference between, working without this on, that obviously to link clips, you just have to do the opposite. Working with this on, that allows me also to unlink them, or working with this on, and then me deciding the ones that I want to unlink. So that's the difference, okay? This is the first tool. You've just learned your first tool of editing, which is link. Obviously, we're gonna link audios. We're gonna synchro audios and then link them. Another tool we can see is this, which is the blade. We just press B, and as you can see here, appears this little red line, and we just press it here, and as you can see, we have a cut, but we only have a cut in the video. In the audio, we don't have any cut. In cases we wanted one, we're just gonna do it here at the same place. Now, if the images are linked, as we saw before, now I'm gonna press this again, selection mode. So this is gonna be a lot A and B, okay? You need to remember this. A to change to this, so you can select, and B so you change to cut, okay? B of blade, A selection. In case that this image are linked, I'm gonna link them again. Link clips. Again, this icon has appeared, and I just do this. It automatically will also cut the audio. Important this, okay? Another thing we see in this tool, very easy, what I mentioned before, the zoom in and zoom out. Another thing we see. Also, we can mark things. For example, if I know that in here this audio starts here, I just press here and I just can mark or the audio, that is this, with a blue. The whole audio, yeah, the whole clips, okay, with this, clear all, if you don't want, or just a specific place, which is the one that this is gonna be on. And if it selected the image, if we do this one, it's gonna be in the image. Interesting this. So you can do overall mark, you know, and this is marking all these three elements, or you can just mark a certain point that you want. For example, I just want when the audio starts here, I just want to mark here. So I will press this, my audio, and press this, press blue, and I have the mark here. So we talk about the markers a bit. And there's another very useful way to use the markers. For example, this is timeline, as we can see here. It's 3 hours, 25 minutes. It's a very long timeline. And I know that here I start into another episode of this course. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of just putting this mark in an audio file or a video file, I'm just gonna put it in my timeline. So I'm gonna just press red, which color you want. So I know that here in this mark starts another chapter. This is the intro chapter, for example. So I know that the installation finish here, for example. So I'm also gonna, okay, so here I have my points separating different parts of my editing, okay, in the timeline. If you have selected this clip and you just mark, it's gonna mark your clip, as we can see here. If we zoom in, it has marked my clip, which I don't want this, so I'm gonna delete it. So this is another way of doing your marks, just applying them on the timeline. Marker 1. Also, obviously, we can just name our marks, modify marker, and here we can name it. In my case, this is editing. So I know that this mark is the editing and I know where it starts. Okay, it's very important that you just learn to work like this, you know, so you can be more efficient, you can be faster. Otherwise, you're gonna always have to look and realize, okay, which part I'm lost. Okay, with these markers, you will never be lost. So marker points, important. More things that we can see also that is other very handy tools before we get into more specific details about the inspector is, for example, we had this shot here, remember, of the central nuclear that have sound, but imagine we just don't want to import sound. So we're gonna double click here, we're gonna go here, and we can see as we hover there's these options. First option is to drag only, as you can see, only the video itself without the sound. I'm gonna just make it like this so we can see it clear. Okay, you will see that nothing will appear here, only in the video part. There's nothing below. Also, if we would like only to export the sound, we're gonna press this, hold this, and just export the sound, so we can see. So this is another fast way, you know, to, for example, these images that we already know that don't have sound, we can actually do that directly. So it's not going to import any of the sound, just the image itself. Another thing we need to see that is very important is this tool right here. This other tool, the snapping. And it's on or off, okay? This snapping, this is really what is a magnet. When it's on, the relationship between these, as you can see here, there's this line, this white line that appears, that at the moment I go close to my other clip, it automatically it automatically glue them. If I turn it off, it doesn't do that. It's more difficult to work this way sometimes, but sometimes you would turn it off or on, depending on the circumstances. We'll see. But I will have it always on, because then I know for sure that if I do this without paying a lot of attention, he's not gonna eat a part of the last frames of this other clip. Okay, so another element you need to know. And then there are all these elements: insert clip, overwrite clip, and replace clip, which it meanings is, as we know, is what it says is that insert clip. I would like to insert a clip here, so insert me this spider net because it's the one I had selected, but I'm gonna delete this and I'm gonna show you more properly so you can see it clearly. For example, let's say I like this. This is the same one. Okay, we just made this cut now, and I want to insert one in the middle of this. Okay, so very easy. Let's say we want to insert another one of a city, like this one. And again, we're gonna do our in and out mark here, because we just want a little part of it. So we want only this part probably. So we mark our in and out. And now there's two ways of doing this. We can just directly do it here, insert clip, and it's gonna insert that one in the middle of these two, where this is always. It's gonna insert it. If you are here, it's gonna insert it here. If I press now insert, you see, it's gonna always insert it where you have this red line, which is the time that you are looking the video, the moment you are looking at the video. But also, what it's doing is that it's not deleting any of these clips. It's just inserting one in the middle, and that's very useful too. But also, there's another way of doing it. The same. Another thing. Now I deleted this I had inserted, and I have this space here. I can do two things. I can just select this one and just move it, and with this on, obviously the snapping, make it much easier to just connect them back in together, so one is after the other. Or the other thing I can do is just select this space that is in the middle of these two, and just with my keyboard, the delete button, boom. So that's it. But I'm gonna tell you another way to insert clips, okay, which is gonna be selecting them and then dragging in the viewer of our timeline, and you can see he already offers all these options. We can also say overwrite, which is gonna overwrite it to the one we got. So in that case, this will see what happens. If you look now at the timeline, you will see what happens. You see, it has rewritten with this other one. We still have a part of the other one because this is not as long, so he leave it. But he just deleted this part of this one. It's not the same, obviously, as insert. This is replace. So, or overwrite. We can also replace. This is overwrite. Now we're gonna do the replace. So I'm gonna put this back in the way it was. Again, to make things, another thing that you need to control is, and I'm gonna zoom it, okay? Then we continue with this replacing and all these things. Now, obviously, these are links, okay? So, as you can see, first this is this one. There's two logos you can see. This one, okay, which has like double brackets, and one that has only a singular bracket. Well, if you just press this singular bracket and you go all the way to the left, it's gonna just put this one we need, obviously it's link, so it's creating conflicts. So let's unlink them and let's see if we can do it now. Yes. So obviously you can just cut this way too. You don't need to use this tool. You can just directly do it the length that you want of this clip. That's another thing that is very useful. Another thing that just is straight away too, that you can see very clear, is this. As you can see, this is the other icon. If I click this, I'm gonna see both shots that are being edited together. One on the left is gonna be the one before, and I'm gonna see the last shot of this one before. If I do this, the same. This is called trim. This we'll see after too, okay, in more detail. But just for you guys to already understand these tools. So yes, we were saying that we were gonna do more of these things. Remember that we just had here. So I'm gonna also, same clip, the one we did in and out, and let's see what other options we have. We have replace, which is gonna replace. This is not the same as overwrite. Replace is that substitute this clip for the other. That means it's gonna eliminate clip A totally and substitute it with clip B. So it's not gonna left any part of the clip A, not at all. It's gonna just delete it and substitute it by another one. More things we can see there too. Fit to fill. Fit to fill is that it change a bit the time. You know, we can see it does a bit of speed change in order to fit, because if we put it like this, we don't see the icon of the clock. So what it has done, it changed to fit. Place on top. Place on top, in this case, nothing, but if we go here, we just put place on top, and it's gonna place this on top of this one. Obviously, the one on top are the one who you're gonna see. But here, if you select this one, for example, and here you have composite. Okay, you have in the inspector, remember, you have composite. And you just drag this opacity. You see what happened? The one that is underneath, it dissolves with the one above. And as you can see here, there's this icon. This icon is opacity that we just did, appears here. It's telling us that this clip has been modified. And then we're gonna see later on in this editing page all these things that are here. Another thing we need to pay attention. As we can see here in our masters, so for example, in this one, city, there is this red line above. That means that these clips are in our timeline. If now I put this one, I just put this one, and I put this one, okay, you will see that they're gonna appear in red because I just put them in my timeline. Another thing more with these things that is very useful for me. Imagine if we have quite a lot of clips here. Imagine if we have a lot. A few more. The snakes too. Okay. We already have quite a bit of clips. And, you know, we're editing and we say, oh, I don't like the star. I just want to change the clip I have at the start. So instead of doing, you know, a bit of the amateur way would be to just select everything, move everything to the right, and then let's see, we want to start with a cut, put it, select everything back again, put it here. No, there's a faster way to do it, and also is safer, because at the moment you are dealing with a lot of clips here and a lot of things. Imagine also if we have these transitions, that this thing of the opacity that I show you, you know, imagine that we also have this, okay, with this opacity. So we also have to make sure to select all, or imagine if we have 4 of these, you know, like one above each other. It's gonna be very tedious to do this every time we want just to, you know, add something at the start of our timeline. So obviously you can do it with the same tool as I showed you before, or you can insert clip also. You can do it this way, like we're gonna go here and I want to insert I want to start with these eyes, okay? So I can also do this, insert clip, and it's going to insert me at the point I am, which we already saw that. But there's another way to do it. There's another way to do it, which is better. Wait, I'm gonna do this. That is, you go here and you just say insert, and it's gonna insert it at the star. Okay, so you need to point at the star and insert. This one you can put also at the end. You know, append to end means that it's gonna put this clip at the end of your timeline, and okay, place on top. We saw this one too. So you know, you need to get used to use these tools to just do faster things. Don't only use this, you know, like if you were, you know, sort of drawing, you know, use the shortcuts, you know, because they're gonna really help you out. More things we can see in this page, obviously the inspector, the mixer. I always have it on so I can see my levels of audio and how many audios I'm using. Now I'm using 2, but again, these ones, remember, that are like fake audios, and I want to get rid of them, because if there's no audio, I don't need them. So now if I just delete, it's gonna delete everything, because they're linked, as we mentioned before, because they have this logo. So what we're gonna do is unlink them, and then we're gonna delete the sound of these ones that we don't care about this sound, because there's nothing in it. It's just an audio track without really audio, so not interested. So we just take them out. This one the same, be careful, is above. We unlink, and again we delete it. Now it's looking much better. With this you have to be able to at least make an editing. But now I will show you tricks, things you can do using the inspector too, or using other tools, in order to also make a more fluid sort of editing. What I'll do next is we're gonna start looking at these inspectors. So we're gonna start changing things of the inspectors also. And we are also gonna even go into a bit of sound, but very detailed, you know, not very detailed, sorry, the opposite, very generalized, okay? To start understanding these things that, as you can see here, appears here, equalizer. Obviously we're gonna go into more detail in Farlight, but I think it's a good way to start getting familiar with all these elements, okay? Not only in terms of video, of cropping and all this, but also in terms of audio. Okay, we're also gonna see after this inspector, we're also gonna see some transitions, some effects. Where are these effects? Well, very easy. Next to your media pool, there's this FX library, which is, if you press the FX library, you're gonna see all these video transitions, you know, blur dissolve, titles. You can also add a text. Again, just drag things. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. You can see here, ready title. We're gonna also learn how to modify them, okay? Everything that you modified, everything that you change is gonna be in your inspector. Yes, you can see here, how do I transform my image? Inspector. My audio, inspector, the same, okay? How do I transform my transitions, my titles? The same, inspector. Double click to your, in that case it's a clip. I wanna modify my title, so I make sure that my titles are selected. As you can see here, I can just start writing, color, everything is here really. This is the second text, so DaVinci course. We're gonna make it this color, I don't know. We're gonna see all these details later on. So, but for me it's that very basic that you understand that everything that you wanna transform, that you wanna change, is gonna be in your inspector, always. If you wanna go to really specific things, okay? If you wanna cut a clip and insert a clip, this we saw that there's other ways of doing it. But if you want to transform your image, if you want to apply some sort of effects, or not effects, or just transformations, you know, if you want to modify things, always use the inspector, always inspector. So next video, yeah, we're gonna see has been very basic things of editing, the basic knowledge of editing, starting from 0 to now maybe we are at level 6, okay, but there's still a lot to see in this page, okay. So next video is gonna be about effects, about video transitions, titles, about also these things of, as we saw before, to transform your image. And also we're gonna start introducing this element that is named this keyframes. I can not only do zooms, but I can also say zoom from this part to this part, okay, or position, you know, also the position, change the position X from this part to this part, or the position Y from this part to this part, rotation angle too. And this is just easy, as I'm gonna do now very fast brief introduction of these keyframes, because we're gonna see them. So, you know, I just want to rotate this image now, let's say, but I want it to start here. So I press space, I click here where I want this rotation to start. Then I look and I say I want the rotation to end here. So I press here space, I do the rotation, okay, I want it here, and I don't even have to press again. We already understood that this one is the final position. So as we can see here, nothing. And when I put this keyframe, and it appears here. So you can see the graphic. Here is where it starts this rotation. This is just a little introduction. But remember before, when we did that, when we add, you know, to this one, it shows us this symbol. Well, this symbol is keyframes. What it's saying to us is, and we can just modify this also by using the graphic. Okay, but again, this is gonna be next video, and we're gonna go into much more detail. So we're gonna go to these images I have of the interviews. We're gonna select it in our media. We can always go back to our media whenever we want and select new stuff, this always. So here in my master, I'm gonna add a new bin, which is gonna be called interview. And I'm gonna just open this interview, and I have one audio here, and I also have videos. 1, 2, 3, 4 videos. Okay, now if you listen this audio, vale, grabant càmera, tasca gravant, the audio is pretty awful, to be honest. It's not a very good recorded audio because it's an audio from a Canon 7D, so it's a bad audio, it's a bad quality audio. But I did record it with my Tascam, my Tascam recorder, okay, an audio device, okay, to record sound, and it's much better, this sound. If you can listen here, let's put it probably here.
Pueda mostrar de la mejor manera posible.
It's much different than this one.
Formada por profesionales de...
It's no color, okay? Obviously, it's much better, the one of the Tascam. Okay, now I'm gonna explain you 2 ways of Syncro audio with image. And the first way is gonna be the most tedious way, it's a bit tedious, which is doing it manually. Obviously, this is much easier if you have a clip, that you have already a marker in that clip. So for example, in this one, I do have a marker myself. Here, I mark Okay. However, be careful because he marks too. So I think I'm gonna get my reference is gonna be his mark rather than mine. Okay. So again with the arrows, probably here one of these two. Okay. Yeah, this one. Okay, so I'm gonna drag it down. So now we're gonna go here to our audio and we're gonna spot, this is gonna be the first mark, as we can see, and this the second. So we are just gonna put an in at the moment that the second starts. Okay, and I think then here maybe I'm gonna do it different then, sorry, but I'm gonna do it also at the moment it starts the noise. Okay, so here, because even if the image goes a bit later, you know, it just frames, is 24 frames per second, so the sound already catched this sound that maybe we don't see it here, but it's here. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this down and I'm gonna drag this to the second audio track. So here we go.
Interesantes los contenidos audiovisuales para tu empresa.
As you can see, we are listening both of audios, but we're not listening anything weird. That means we did the synchronization well. Okay, remember, it's better to do it always when the sound starts. When you go frame by frame and you hear here starts, so that's the way to synchro. Okay, obviously now I don't want both audios, I just want one audio. You know, this one, it doesn't really interest me. So there's two ways of doing this. We can just mute the whole track, but this is gonna mute all this track, and we still want this sound first. Obviously, as we can see, these clips are linked, so first we're gonna have to unlink them. Now they're not linked anymore, and we just delete them. Okay, we don't want this audio really, we're just gonna delete it, and now we listen only with the Tascam. Well, we need to higher it up a bit, but sorry, it's the audio too. But as you can see, it's a bit better. This sound. Okay. So what are we gonna do now? We're gonna link this because we need it to be linked. We want it to be also linked. You know, we don't want to change. If we change this clip of plays now, if I change it, look, it's gonna be out of Syncro again. So you can see it. Okay, so Command Z, this is just to go, you know, before, and now we're gonna link them. So what we did before. Okay, I'm gonna cut it here a bit so it matches with this, and I'm gonna also put it at the first track because I don't need another second track. Select them both and link clips, and now these clips are linked with the audio that is in Syncro. But as we saw, we sort of lose a lot of time doing this, no? We have to look for the audio wave, we have to look for that mark, and if I don't have a marker, you know, if I didn't mark it, well, you should mark it if you're doing these sort of things, but there's another way to do it, that the program, the software, automatically just reads these images and the audio and does this for you. So we're gonna delete this. We're gonna delete it, and this also can be done here in the editing page or can be done in the media page. If I do it in the editing page, select this command, select the audio. Now they're both selected, okay, because they're both in this right overlay. Right click, okay. I'm gonna go to sync audio, and here there's these options. We can link them based on timecode, we can synchro them based on timecode, in case they have the exact timecode, video and audio, or we can do it based on waveform, which is the one that we did manually. The same action as we did manually, we're gonna do it here automatically. So we just press it and it located already. So if we drag this one now here, we're gonna have the audio of the Tascam. We need to wait a bit until we listen.
Clar, això ho hauríem d'haver començat allà, però és igual.
Tranqui.
Estamos, como podéis ver, en nuestro estudio de grabación.
It's not the audio of the camera, which is this one. Like y suscribirse, fes un altre cop, ¿vale? Digues.
El contenido audiovisual es una manera.
You listen the difference between one audio and the other.
Estamos, como podéis ver, en nuestro estudio de grabación.
Okay, so this is important. It's important, okay, to make your life easier. Another thing we have here, though, this audio is very long, this Tascam recording, because I just left the Tascam recording while I was changing of camera angle. So I turn off the camera, my camera recording, and there's this other clip that is also needs to be synced somehow, So another thing we can do is select the three of them and just do the same, okay? So we're gonna, this one, wavefront, and now this one is also...
El contenido audiovisual es una manera de interactuar con tus clientes.
It's also sync with my Tascam audio, also this one. You can also do it directly from your media. Like here, we could have done this. We could have selected these three and just do this, and it would do the same. Okay, so you can just synchro your audios directly from your media page. So we just did a little introduction of the inspector, and also we saw a bit of these titles, these effects, okay? And now we're gonna see other stuff that maybe you didn't notice at first sight before we start into specific things of the inspector and transitions and all these things. First thing I would like you to notice is if you zoom in and you just hover one click, you can see these white things in each extreme of the clip. For example, in this one, if I just hold that one, you see that now it's red, it's selected, and I just drag it a bit to the right, it's gonna create this fade, as we can see. If I do the same with the other extreme, but in the opposite direction, it's gonna go to black when it's finished. Same concept with the audio. As we can see here, if I do this, we're gonna listen the audio fading in. Okay, and here the same, we're gonna hear it fading out. You can listen, it fades out. Another thing we can see also in the audio track, there's this line. There is our waveform, but there's also above this little line. And this, we can use it to increase, to turn it up the volume or turn it down. And if you see here in my inspector, in the audio, this is gonna change every time I move that. So you can see it changes. So another way to just modify your audio's levels, okay, is by using this. In case that, for example, you have in the same audio track, which is audio 1, this one, different audios, you are gonna use, if you just use these ones, the mixers, you are affecting all the audio track. You're not affecting this clip individually. So for example, here we have another clip with audio, okay, just for you guys to show you. I'm gonna show you now that, for example, if I just move this, I'm gonna affect everything of the audio one. This is gonna be affected. It's gonna increase a lot its sounds, and this is gonna be affected.
Valoren tus servicios.
Okay, so this is a good way to only change a part, the volume of the audio that you want, not all the audio track. Okay, all the volume of the audio track. These are also very useful tools. And now also we're gonna look a bit at this. Now this is timeline view options, you know, so it's just different options you have in terms of how you wanna see your timeline. You know, you have, for example, if you don't wanna see any thumbnail, any image, you can select this one. If you just wanna see the first frame and the last frame of each clip, you select this one. Okay, and if we zoom in, you're gonna see it more clear. First and last frame. Obviously you need to zoom it a bit to see, for example, the cat, the same. And also you have this option, which is all the little frames within this clip. Also this is just the way you want to see timeline. I would choose always all them on, you know. This, for example, shows the audio. I don't want to show the audio wave, never, so I can see if it peaks. This is gonna be about the subtitles, you know, and this is gonna be stacked timelines, so we can see, for example, if we had more than one timeline here. I'm just gonna create another. If I just cancel this, we don't see it, so I'm just gonna put it. I'm gonna delete this one, and this is another way of creating timelines, very straightforward, which is just plus, and you have another timeline ready. Select timeline, you can drop it here, and it's gonna be timeline 2. Obviously it's already created. We don't want this timeline 2. If we don't want it, we just delete it. Okay, and it's gonna ask if we are sure, and we say yes. Okay, so we have our city timeline. Another thing of the timelines that I told you before, I think I told you in the introduction, yes, there is how to use timelines. For example, now I've done a lot of things that I didn't done it yet, but I want to do changes that might affect the timeline in a way that I want to make sure that I can go back to that timeline in case that I do mistakes and that I just spoiled work, you know, trying to make it better. Sometimes happens that you spoil something, and that these cuts that you had it so good that were here and were well done, you know, you just might lose it and never, you know, you have to go back somehow. In a way to avoid that happening is we go here, timelines, we have city, right click, duplicate timeline. It's gonna duplicate this timeline, so it's gonna say city copy, and now we open this timeline, and here we can modify as long as we like. This, for example, we can modify this, and this one we still the same. Okay, so this is a good way. For example, if you say, I wanna do some changes that might affect somehow things that I already like it, and I don't wanna lose that in case that I do mistakes. So duplicate your timelines, and remember to select the new one in order to work with the new one. This is also important. Now, yes, I think this is pretty much, then we're gonna go a bit more into these things, but I don't think they are as important now. Our inspector and everything we can do with it, okay, pretty much. So first I have this image, okay, but then remember we had other eyes. Yeah, this one. Yeah, above here, and as we can see, there's this audio again that we don't want, so we know what to do already. So this is our eyes images. We're gonna make them fit in terms of time, and now I'm gonna show you a little thing you can do that is very fast. And if you have these images that are pretty similar and you want to create a cool effect, you can just go here to your video of your inspector, composite, and here you see that we have different modes in order to composite. Remember that I explained you what composite is. It's putting things on other things, you know, just creating relationships between these two things. So this is going to be obviously a relationship in terms of opacity. Okay, so it's going to work with the opacity of each image to create a fusion of both images. Composite of two clips. So we're going to go here, and instead of normal, we're going to just put, for example, darken, and you see what happened. We're giving priority to the darker colors. Okay, we're darkening this image using this one too. Okay, wait, we're gonna do it again. Sometimes these things happen, sorry guys. Well, we're gonna use others. For example, this one and this one. Yeah, this would be cooler maybe to do this because they're more similar. The one of the eye too because of composition, okay? Again, we have this audio, so I'm gonna delete it. And now, again, we composite, darken, we don't see anything because they're too dark, but difference, you see? And I didn't do much and it looks already pretty good, you know, pretty cool. We have a lot of overlight, depending on which ones, depending on if the image are very dark, some of them just don't work, okay? This one, interesting too. Screen is cool too. It just creates this screen, puts like in a screen way thing on top of the other. Okay, so you see all these composites. Also you can use the opacity, you can make it a bit darker, okay. And also you can create some keyframes. For example, you say I want this composite to start here, so you just press here, and then I want to finish it here. Press again, and now here we have all this. So we just click here, as we saw before, and we see it in graphic, and we can change the parameters. So now with this, and here, we're gonna see the high road, and then even if you wanna put at another point here, you can also do it. You just press here, and you see another appears. And you can just raise it down too. If you want to make it a bit smoother or, you know, something like this, you would use these options and you see similar ways of doing things, okay? This too is important. You can modify everything, really, all these effects that you do. Now we're gonna see other elements of this inspector. For example, in this image that of the buildings that we did do these composites too. So we don't want this anymore, so again we just press this and goes back to normal, and we just maybe we wanna create double sort of screen now. I mean, we want to have this one and this one in the same place. So what we're gonna do now, first I'm gonna try to lower this down if it lets me do it. Okay, again the zoom, we need to because this is video 2 and video 2 is very long, so this we have to put it a bit like this. So what we're gonna do with this image is first delete it, because we're gonna choose probably better with one of the city, for example this one of London. What we're gonna do is crop this image. We're gonna crop it. As you can see, there's a bit of the other, because this must be different size. So how we solve that? Very easy. We just zoom it and that's it. But we wanna crop it. Actually, we wanna crop it after the bus passes through. So we're gonna start cropping it here when the sound sort of starts. Okay, so we go a bit before. Again, we're gonna go to crop left. We're gonna press here. So we have our keyframe. And here is where we want it to finish the crop. So like this, more or less. And as we can see, it's just doing this crop. Okay, in that case we did crop left, but we could do also other sort of things like crop bottom too. Here we just press again keyframe, we go to our last point of the keyframe and we just modify it, and that's it. And also here we see these two crops, we see both. Okay, we see here the crop bottom and the crop left, and we can change them. And if we wanna do it at the same time, we can just put it at the same level and they're gonna do it at the same time. So like this, as easy as that. See? Okay. This also tells you, is another way of expressing this graphic too. Like you can, you know, change things too from here. But I prefer to use directly this graphic. But these two things is just for these things. These are these tools. So here you can do lots of things really. And this is the cropping. This is the most interesting thing. We saw also before, I remember, we saw a bit of this dynamic zoom, which you can see makes the cut. And also can be different. So we can do a out, sort of a zoom out. You see as the image does a bit of a zoom out. And this does it automatically for you because you can do it manually, obviously using the keyframes and using the zoom. For example, I want to zoom in. I'm gonna go to my first keyframe. I'm gonna select it. As you can see, it's selected because it's in red. And then I'm gonna go to the last one. And here, the last point I want. Again, start, keyframe, you mark it, go to where you want to stop the effect and just zoom it right in. But now I see that, for example, I just zoom it in, but I'm not really satisfied with the position of it. I would like also to move a bit the position when I arrive here so it doesn't cut this building. So when I'm here, more or less, I'm gonna do the same as I did with this one, just in here, in the position. And I'm gonna go carefully, and when I arrive here, for example, I'm already gonna do a bit of change of position, so we don't cut this part of the building. And when it's here too, this is a bit, you need to be a bit patient, but you know, you can just do it. You see, with the space, step by step, making sure that everything is in the frame, okay? And because you are zooming, you can get away with it. You won't notice this change of positioning a lot. If you notice, it's gonna be cool, it's gonna create another sort of effect. So we see, we have it, okay? Now we see it again. It's zooming, but it's maintaining. Okay, maybe we're gonna have to do one before, obviously, because it shocks a bit. So again, we're gonna use these tools. Okay, we're gonna use these tools. This is the zoom. Okay, but we wanna look for the other transformation with it, the position. So zoom. And this one, zoomy. Okay, here we have to go down because obviously this is transform. We're not seeing as we see here the difference because these are two things, you know. We were doing a cropping to the right and left, and here we are transforming. Okay, so here, as we can see, there is this transformation that we did. But as I told before, I'm not very convinced with that. I think you can feel the editor, and we don't want it to feel the editor, you know. Things are good when they are fluid. Okay, so we're gonna just modify a bit. Okay, we're gonna start this transformation of the position X. and eye. Okay, we're gonna start earlier in this shot. So we're gonna start it here to do it a bit before here. Okay. In that case, I go here, you see I have my transform, and if I click in here, I can see the zoom X, which is this one, the first I've done, and then the eye. Now I'm gonna modify the eye. So I'm gonna make it a bit like this. And also we have the position, which is this one. And I can also modify this position, obviously. Okay, I see here because I was doing like this and I created quite a lot of points, which is no problem. What we need first is to just put a bit more zoom. So here I think I'm gonna create a position here, another of these ones. And as you can see, I'm creating them. So this is a way you can modify your image, you can give orders, you know, from this point and this point I want you to modify me that, and do all sort of things with this. Okay, next what we're gonna see, obviously, is a bit about this FX library, okay, and how to use them. As we can see here, we have titles, we have audio, video transitions, all sort of things.
Hi! Congratulations on completing this free 2.5-hour DaVinci Resolve Essentials course. It's a pretty great achievement and I hope that you have enjoyed it. You are now ready to get started on creating some awesome videos. If you would like to uncover all the hidden tips and tricks of video editing and working with DaVinci, head over to skillademia.com. The Beginner to Advanced course consists of many more hours of explanations, exercises, and demos, which will turn you into a pro in no time. You'll be able to learn more about the tools and features of the program and the secrets behind editing, as well as apply your knowledge together with the instructor on many awesome projects. If this sounds like something you want, go check it out. Thank you for watching.